Hello, hello, my lovely Saggies, and welcome to Vivid Vibration Tarot. My name is Christina, and I'm super excited to be back here with y'all. Took a couple of months off, my computer crashed, so that was the thing, and just taking back some energy and kind of recouping, my own personal progress and development. So thank you so much to everyone for sticking around with me, and I'm excited to jump back in. I hope that y'all are doing well, and what else was I saying? Please like, share, and subscribe. I forgot to say that in my other videos. Also, we are coming up to a new moon in Taurus, so it's a great time for setting intentions. We've got a lunar eclipse at the end of the month and a solar eclipse at the beginning of, or in the middle of June. So I was thinking I might do new moon, full moon videos as opposed to like the monthlies and weeklies. I haven't totally made my decision yet, but we'll find out. Kind of rolling with the punches at this point. That being said, let's get started. Saggies. Whew. Some heaviness being felt right now. Oh my God, okay, yeah. Oh, there's a lot of cards here too. Oh, okay. Well, let's start with the heavy, shall we? We have the storm and the fault line, the box, Gnosis, shadow, the stone, the shaman, the sustainer, and the hunter. Okay, so Saggies, OMGs. Okay, I feel like the Gnosis and the box, I mean, they're basically one card saying the same thing, but like in a different like cycle. The box is kind of the idea that like every time you revisit a circumstance or a situation, and this can be with the same person or it can be with like different people, but like every time you go into that area of your life, it's like your box gets smaller and you're like, oh my God. And then you break out and you're like, oh, okay, I made it out, and you go right back into another box, but that box is even smaller, more confining than the box before that. And so you're just like, you keep feeling more and more confined. I mean, I definitely feel, like short of breath, honestly. Could be that I just ate lunch, I don't know. And then Gnosis is the idea of like repeating cycles, going over and over and over again until like finally you make your way out. But like the end all result for those two cards is that like finally you make your way out. And I think that plays in well with the fault line. The fault line is kind of that broken foundation. I mean, obviously, but a broken foundation that you don't even realize, like that there were cracks along the way. Like, oh, it's just this one little thing, or oh, it's just this little thing, or oh, it's just this little thing, until you've acquired so many little things that it's just created this like massive chasm, and everything's broken. There's the foundation is cracked, the value is lost, like whatever, solid foundation you thought you had, you cracked away at it, until there was just, it was completely broken. And I think that really rendered you confused, and I want to say like left to kind of face your own shadow. I mean, the shadow in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad card. I mean, if you think about the idea of integration, I mean, it's kind of that like, there's like bullet holes in that. I don't know. I mean, I feel like when you have this everything's dark, it feels threatening. But if you integrate it with your light, it kind of creates this almost like a prismatic experience for you. An integration of your shadow. That I think comes after something breaks and you are forced to kind of recognize the cycle that you've been caught in, with the box and Gnosis, just kind of like every time you revisit the situation, it's smaller until you just like you break out of it entirely. Gnosis, every time you revisit the situation, it's the same thing over and over again until eventually you work your way out. And the shaman is the idea that, you have you learn, you study, you heal, and you manifest, you create magic. The shaman is a magical being, but he had to take time to study, to understand, to heal. And I think that plays in really well to, the Gnosis in the box. You had to study, like where were your cycles being repeated, and how did they end up in the end breaking what I think you thought was originally a solid foundation, only to find that it had just been chipped away into oblivion. And so you had to study, understand, heal, and then once you were able to do that and really let go of the wounds, let go of the chaos, let go of the storms, at that point in time, you were able to really reach into the magic of you. Okay, so then from there, I want to say we have the stone and the hunter. And I want to say that whatever it is that you're like seeking, like on the hunt for, it's something that you're rooted in. The stone is that idea of like ever changing, never changing, and that it tethers you to who you are or what you desire. It's that idea that you can never really, you'll never really not be connected to it. You're anchored to it, and whatever it is that you're anchored to is what it is that you are on the hunt for. The hunter is a card that so pretty. It's singularly focused. There's a singular focus. Like there's one direction that I'm going, and there's one goal that I have, there's one destination that I'm set for, and that is something that I am tethered to, anchored to. Something that, like even if it is constantly changing, it still is what it is at its essence. Like there's still this, I want to say like this connection, like you're anchored in this connection. And as you're seeking to, move toward this, you have the sustainer, and the sustainer is, is that like someone who's seeking to sustain. I like that the ball of clay kind of looks like a stone, but that you're wanting to sustain something that I think, I want to say you thought that something that broke, you thought that it was a solidly founded whatever, I don't know what, relationship, connection, whatever it was, you thought it was solid, and then you found out it wasn't very solid, and it wasn't very solid because there had been so many instances of crackage, or like breaking away, or movement, shifting plates, where when it shifted in one direction, cracks appeared, and then it shifted again, and then all of these cracks appeared, and like there had been so much shifting, and all of these repeated cycles that it just it crumbled away. And yet you have gone in and I want to say like studied the process, studied the cycle, withstood the storm, and explored the shadow of yourself in a manner that has enabled you to really bring healing and reach into the magic and the essence of you, so that you are able to move toward something you are connected to in order to sustain it. Okay, I feel like I'm repeating myself now. There's a lot of cards that popped out, so I wanted to make sure that I was like covering it. Swallow it, you know? Okay. What else can we get here for my Saggies? Oh my god, I'm like sweating. It was cold earlier. The Magician pop out. I just, yeah, because it's like what the shaman is, you know? Ultimately harnessing your magic. Okay. I dropped cards. Okay. The Three of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles, the King of Wands, the Magician, the Six of Wands, the Star, and the Moon. Yeah, okay, so let's say, okay, the Magician. Again, I think that plays in really well to the idea of the Shaman card. You know, like you witnessed, I mean, the Magician can create something from nothing. And when you've got brokenness and chaos, confusion, repeated cycles, it's just kind of like there's nothing there to work with, like there's nothing in this hat, and yet here you are able to, pull something out of nothing, and overcome. I mean, the Three of Swords is backstabbing, I mean, this is just, I want to say that shift that kept occurring in whatever, however this plays out for you, but the shift that kept occurring, that was like creating this, like the fractures in the fault line, that was like this cycle that you had like started and like shifting. You were going this way at one point and this way at another point, but like you were never, there was no constancy to anything except for maybe your lack of constancy. And consistency. You're constantly inconsistent. And I think that you kind of left the other party of this situation feeling like, they can't trust you. There's nothing about you that's dependable. You'll switch it up on them every time. You've proven time and time again that, like there's nothing there but a cracked foundation and, like bullet holes. Because when it's only shadow, then it's pain and suffering. There's nothing happy about it. Like, why would anybody want to have anything to do with misery? But then you have this Nine of Pentacles and the Six of Wands. And I think that this ties in really well with the Magician because, again, it's that idea of like being swept up and pulling yourself up out of the rubble. I mean, I love this imagery with the fault line and dude, like it's like he's pulling himself up out of this fractured, broken ground. Like he's lifting himself up out of the chaos. He's, practicing his magic and bringing himself back to life. And then you have the King of Wands. And I think it's just kind of this idea of like you're swept up in this almost like recovery, I want to say. Because the Shaman and the Magician, I think, represent this idea of recovery, healing and calling on and pulling on your magic. And then you have the Moon and the Star. And I think that, the Moon is just kind of, you're following your intuition here. You, you know you can't go back to what was. You know you can't revisit these old patterns and these old cycles, but that's what you know. That's how you operate. That's what you're familiar with. And you know that you can't go back there. Like that, all that is there is backstabbing and brokenness. Whoops. And that has to change, because it's the only way you're really going to be able to rise up from the rubble of it all. So you're having to follow your intuition, because you know, if you're accustomed to operating in one manner, and you have to operate in a completely new manner, you're not familiar with it. You know, it's like, I haven't done this before. You know, so I have to figure it out. You know, which means I have to follow my intuition. And the star, I want to say that this is what's, I feel like it's kind of like that guiding star. It would just more like to the hidden realm, but honestly, like at this exact moment in time, that's just the feel of this card. It's just like this rising star. You know, you're rising up, and you're leading the way. You know, so you can see, like, you see what you're headed toward. Let's see what else we can get here for my Sagittarius. King of Swords, Two of Pentacles, the Hermit. Oh, God. Ace of Cups, Knight of Swords, Page of Wands, King of Pentacles. Okay, well, you have the King of Pentacles and the King of Swords. That's popped out here. And so, I mean, I really do think that there's just this idea of like absolute decision. You know, like you want to move forward toward something that I think you feel called to, which, I mean, the idea of the Knight of Swords in this deck is that he hears the calling and he's setting off, you know, to head towards what is calling him. You know, being led by, you know, like this calling. I almost want to say being led by, you know, this anchor, led by what it is that you feel connected to and rooted in. And I mean, in terms of the sustainer with the King of Pentacles, I mean, the King of Pentacles is just this idea of safety and security. You know, I mean, like he's taking care of his granddaughter. You know, I mean, it's just like long-term stability. Actual sustained environment, sustained relationship, that you're, I want to say, moving toward with this enthusiasm. I mean, the Page of Wands is so excited, you know, he's so cute. He's like, yes, going on this journey now, you know, because you're done pulling away. I mean, the Hermit is just this idea of stepping away. And I mean, I think that especially with, you know, Gnosis and the box and the shadow, you've had to step away, you've had to pull away, like things broke. And when they broke, you had to really like back up, back off, figure it out, you know, like who, I want to say, you know, who am I? How is it that I operate? How is it that things break when I touch them? You know, it's like the opposite of a Midas touch. You know, like things aren't turning to gold, they're just like shattering around you. And so you're trying to, you know, correct that. But in order to correct it, you have to understand it. And the feeling here is that you are either coming into a place where you're trying to gain understanding, or you are coming out of a place where you've gained understanding and you're feeling called to move toward a more decided means of sustaining something that you feel connected to, because you want to have a new relationship, a new level of intimacy. Let's do one more archetype, and we'll call it a read. The Vow. Yeah, I mean, I think that this person, that you just feel so connected to this person. And I mean, the vow is something, I mean, it says something along the lines of be careful what you say, because you become connected to things. You become, you know, if you commit to something, it's almost like this, like you've connected yourself to it. You know, and I think that there's just this very strong idea of in spite of things breaking down around you and cycles being created and you know, negative experiences being had, that you are even still connected to someone who, you know, you're wanting to, you know, move forward with, you know, and commit to sustaining a happy, healthy relationship. So that's really nice and lovely, Saggies. I hope this resonates for y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see y'all again soon. Bye.